And so this is a complete step-by-step guide on how to prepare for your copywriting interview. In every copywriting interview, there are usually three sections. The first section is about yourself, the second is about them, and the third is usually about the position. Okay, so as we progress along this video, I highly recommend that you take down notes, excuse me, because I will be sharing some common questions for each of these sections and how you can approach these questions such that your employer actually receives the answer that they're wanting to hear, right? So take your notes and I hope this really helps you. So apart from notes, you will also need a few samples, right? Since you're applying for a copywriting position, you should have at least 1 to 2 samples approved by another client, or let's say reviewed by another established copywriter that you can present to your employer. Now, if you do not have samples, I highly recommend going to Google, search up copywriting frameworks. There are 5 to 6 copywriting frameworks which are basically used by most companies to appeal their customers, be it B2B or B2C. So go to Google, search for copywriting frameworks, pick those 5 to 6 frameworks. I'll definitely create a video and share for that as well. Now, you'll get the gist of these frameworks from Google, but you will not get how to implement these frameworks from Google. You'll have to go to LinkedIn or Twitter, search up for copywriting experts, and you'll find some good examples to learn from. And don't just read their content, try to practice what they're saying, right? So when you're practicing, you'll definitely come up with a piece or two that's good enough, that's presentable for both your employers. And again, if you haven't had a paid gig yet, get your work reviewed by a peer, right? Next, you need confidence. Like you need loads of confidence when writing copy, because copy is all about personality, right? There is, of course, a lot of techniques, a lot of data, a lot of research that goes on the back end, but you cannot progress until you're sure about what you're doing, what you're saying. So you need a lot of confidence, and that usually comes from ample knowledge, hands-on experience, and of course some reviews from either your peers or your employers, whatever suits you best. What you do not need is some sort of trophy, some sort of achievement. You do not need a certification to start with a copywriting career. You can directly uh, start, even an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old can start with a copywriting career. You do not need a university degree, you do not need an award, you do not need a recognition certificate to start in this field. And you also absolutely do not need any tools. You do not need a software. There are several software that help with copywriting, such as they help with checking the originality of the text, they help with checking grammar, they help with checking the tone and voice, or what could you do to make it better. Of course, we have ChatGPT now, so you have the idea. But again, it's not absolutely necessary. Copy involves incorporating keywords, but again, it's not a necessity. It's more about convincing the customer directly. That's the art of copywriting. When you adapt the language of the field industry, you'll automatically be using the required keywords. You do not need to pay $100 a month for a tool to have these keywords, right? So let's move on to the next section. First few questions that your employer will ask you will be about yourself. And the first question is usually, please introduce yourself a bit. You can address this question with respect to the role and your personal aspirations. When talking about the role, mention some positives and mention some negatives. Um, with respect to your technical capabilities, what you can do and where you're limited. For example, you have experience with a certain keyword research tool, you have experience with certain copywriting frameworks, or you're an expert at them, please mention. But if you are not aware of so and so, let's say for example, you're not aware of using some X keyword research tool, mention it. that counts enough. The reason that you need to mention one or two negative along with several positives is because you need to balance out. They're looking for someone who's not going overboard just to get the position. So balance it out with at least three positives and one negative. Personal aspirations, when talking about personal aspirations, mention where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years down the lane? Do you see yourself as a direct response copywriter? Do you see yourself as a doctor? Do you see yourself as a someone running a business, his own startup? That's totally up to you. The reason you need to mention this is to be completely transparent with your employer because they need to know where, how long would this collaboration would be and where do they stand with you or how much attention do they have from you. If you're dealing with multiple clients, let them know. If you're working on a side project, let them know. If you are focusing on your degree, please let them know. And to be really honest, in most interviews, they ask this question themselves. If they don't, it's your duty to report. Somewhere along the first few questions, they'll also ask about your experience. Mention your experience in figures. How many years, how many months, and how did you start? Where are you now? Where are you heading? Quite very briefly. For example, I started off as a basic freelance content writer. I upgraded my skill set watching several videos on YouTube, Udemy, Google, and learning from experts on LinkedIn. I upgraded my skill set and now know this and this, can achieve this and this. I have also made this many numbers possible for this company. If you had signed an NDA for your previous client, you do not need to mention their name, just mention what achievement you brought to their table. And that's about it with respect to experience. That's enough. If you have something more valuable to add to it, please let me know in the comments. And of course, please do add it to your interview. And the third question is usually going to be about your writing process. You know, writing copy is a lengthy process, but you need to break it down into stages for your client to or potential client to understand. Give them a breakdown in 5 to 7 phases, starting with research, sorry. Phase 1 is usually research. This is where you explore the X factor of your copy. For example, I can say my first phase of writing is doing the research. I determine the intent of the keyword and how much of that intent is addressed by the competitors. I also study the published material in this phase and determine the X factor of my copy. The second phase is about structuring my post. I determine the word count, where to place the images, what sections to place in this copy, how to develop the flow, and if there are any important links to include in this copy. Do not forget to mention H2s. H2s are really important. So you want your client to know that you have an understanding of H2s, H1s, and H3s. If you know about what H2s are, well and good. If you don't, Google it right now. It's really simple. And if you have time, please stay tuned to my channel. I'll definitely cover that bit as well. The third phase is writing. So you see the first phase was research, second was structuring, third is writing. Explain your writing process in this phase. You can say that you study published surveys, data, reports, evidences. You find out the answer to the main query of the copy. Please, if you're noting things down, please understand that every copy has a pain point, and there is only ever one pain point. If you're addressing more than 2 pain points in just one copy, you're making a mistake. You are likely not to get the output you want. So target one pain point at a time, and in your writing phase, you have to address this pain point. Give more solid or recent examples, and you also research, let's say, video content. Whatever you research, please mention it in this phase along with writing. The fourth phase is editing for errors. This could be grammar, fluency, technical errors, and so on. The fifth phase should be editing for tone of voice. Remember, this step is very essential for copywriting. Tone of voice is the entire point why you're hired, why you're actually doing it for them. Because you know how to adapt to the tone and you're going to bring it to them. You can say that if you're good at developing your own, go ahead, say so. But if you're going to align with their own brief or their existing content, make it a point to mention. Okay, so this was it. This was about the first section. I hope this was helpful for you. In my next video, I'll be covering about them. So stay tuned, and I hope you're looking forward to my next video.